It's taken me nearly 18 months to pluck up the courage to ask this question.
Far away.
And it's possibly a practical application of exactly what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And it's in regards to God's love in practice in healthcare.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I've been a chiropractor for 8 years.
Yep.
And I've basically just almost thrown it all out the window.
Yeah, you never want to throw everything out the window.
I know.
Because the baby goes out with it all.
I know.
Can't do that.
So I guess I'm not exactly sure what the question is that I'm asking here, but there's this feeling in me that what I've been doing, that I thought my intention was to help these people grow.
Yep.
And to grow in love.
Which was your intention, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. But there's also part of me that feels like, whether it be in a nurse that's working in hospitals, whether it be doctors, whether it be energy healers, that there's a part of me that feels like I'm band-aiding. And am I assisting them in actually avoiding what it is that's being presented in their life to help them know God and feel God's love?
Yep.
How do I bring God's love into my interaction with people? At the moment, for the last 6 months, I've pretty much just walked away because I thought I can't stop. I can't be part of stopping people from feeling.
Yeah, I understand that.
Do you understand
Surely,
what I'm trying to say?
Well, let's explain for everyone what's really going on in terms of healing. There's a number of different laws that you want to remember if you're going to ever be involved in helping people on any level. So whether it's psychologically, physically, to do with disease, to do with any old age, to do with any sickness and anything like that. There's just a couple of laws, just a few of them. The first law that's worth understanding is the law of cause and effect, which I had a whole discussion on a few months ago, you remember, about probably 6 months ago now. So there is a YouTube discussion of that particular law. But let's analyse it in its basic form, which is basically this. If I do things to fix effects without addressing the cause, then the cause will keep causing the effect. So in other words, any form of healing that I engage in, any form of change that I engage in, whether it's emotional, physical, or any other type of thing that can affect me psychologically, physically, and emotionally, unless I address the cause of the problem, then it's just really a waste of time. All right, so that's number one. So that particular law, when you think about it, is a very important law to understand in terms of what we choose to do with our life in our day-to-day activities in helping others. So if a person comes along and they say, they come along and they say, I've just broken my leg. And your instant response would be, if you had any medical knowledge at all, would be to patch up their leg first, wouldn't it? Like you'd want to, splint their leg, you'd want to help them mend their leg and so forth. So that's number one. But that is just dealing with the effect. It's not addressed the reason why they broke the leg. And the reason why they broke the leg wasn't because of an accident, because all accidents are created by a cause, and we need to understand the cause. And this is where, if we are helping other people, one of the most important things we need to understand is that everything has a cause, which is not just a physical accident or something like that, but rather a soul-based cause. So when we understand love more, we come to understand that the soul, the human soul, is the creator through another law of all causes, all effects. And the other law that we need to come to understand more completely is called the law of attraction. Now, this has been presented on Earth very simply up until now, and unfortunately not a very good understanding of the law of attraction, because the law of attraction is also another soul-based law. In other words, the law of attraction is not happening at a physical or intellectual level. It's happening at an emotional level, completely different level, a soul-based level. And the law of attraction is not just operating upon your desires and intentions. It's also operating upon your emotional injuries and beliefs. In other words, the emotional things within you that cause you to believe certain things, right? Now, if I understand the law of attraction, I will also understand, to a larger degree, the soul and the fact that the soul is creating particular things that are happening to the body. So if a person comes in, and you're a chiropractor, so their spine is out of alignment, and the reason why it's out of alignment is on the third vertebra, they always get pulled to one side, the left side, let's say, right? So 2 weeks later, they come in again, and it's out again. And you put it all back in, get them all right, they feel fantastic, they run off. 2 weeks later, they come back with the same problem, right? And then you fix it all up for them, and this is why we have recurring visits to the chiropractor, because, we're fixing the effect every time.
And that drives me nuts.
And of course it's going to drive you nuts, because you keep seeing the same person, same times, with the same complaint, and it feels like in the end, even for the person that's helping, it feels like, I'm fixing the same problem every single 2 weeks. Why am I fixing the same problem every 2 weeks? It's like having a builder have a window broken every 2 weeks, and he fixes the same window, same break. After a while, he's going to work out, maybe there's a reason why the window broke, you see? And it's the same principle for the person who's trying to heal. So if you understand the law of cause and effect, and you understand the law of attraction, and you understand both of these laws relate to the soul, not to the mind, not to the thoughts of the individual, but rather to the feelings and emotions and beliefs that come from a much younger age than all of these thoughts that we have, then you'll start to understand what you've got to do if you want to be a healer, a proper healer, I mean, not a healer who just fixes up every 2 weeks. Right? Now, this is where we can do a lot to help people. Huge amounts to help people. In fact, I feel this is one of the major areas of pain and suffering on the planet, is a misunderstanding of these two basic principles. You see, on the planet, we have created medication, right? All to fix the effects. We've created healing modalities and procedures, all to heal effects. How can they ever be permanent? They can't be, right? So we have to actually start addressing, we have to create things, and who knows, there might even be medication that we might be able to create that actually heals the cause. Do you understand? Not the effect. But so there's a potential of that, is there not? But if we understand that everything relates to the soul, then we'll understand that we have a much more rapid way of assisting these people. So the person who I gave as an example in the previous example, who comes along with third vertebra in the back pulled out every single day, every single time they see me, and I'm a chiropractor, and I bang, 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 and I put him or her in, and they walk out feeling fantastic and everything's feeling good, and 2 weeks later they're back with the same problem, and 2 weeks later the same problem, and 3 weeks later the same problem, and and it keeps on going like that, then it tells me that the cause is not being addressed. Now I do have to question, if I keep fixing up the effect for the person without talking to them about the cause, I am now becoming an assistant to their error.
And this is what I've come to realise in the last 2 years.
So I can understand your reticence. But can you see, the only reason why I would be reticent to have the discussion with them about the cause is an emotion we have called...
I'm aware of that also.
...called fear, isn't it? We are afraid that we tell them about the cause and they think, well, stupid idiot, I just want a chiropractor. I just need to be fixed up every 2 weeks. And you could say to them, look, no, hang on a sec. The fact that you need to be, like, if this was your car breaking down every 2 weeks, what would you do? If this was your house breaking a window every 2 weeks, what would you do? If this was anything in your life that happened every 2 weeks that was a nuisance, what would you do? This is your body, like the most important thing you own, and it's happening every 2 weeks. Don't you think it's time to consider that perhaps there's a cause? And that's the beginning of the discussion that we need to have with them. Once we get rid of our fear about that discussion, and we have enough love to overcome our fear about that discussion, we can then help them focus on the cause, the fact that there must be one. We might not even know what it is. We might say, I got no idea what it is, but we can find out, the fact that it's your left side usually means that it's to do with the female side of somebody. The fact that it's pulling, there's got to be something there. It's to do with your second, chakra area, so therefore it's probably something to do with worthiness in relation to females. And you must have some, and then if we can communicate with their spirit friends who know everything about them anyway, they live with them, most of the time they're alive. So you can say, what is it exactly? And they say, when he was 3 years old, his mum did this, that, and this, and that caused him to feel this, that, and this, that, and that's why it has to happen all the time. And then you could say, I know the cause. We're yet to feel it, but at least know it, right? And then we can put together some procedure that will help them go through the process of feeling its cause.
That's the bit I want to know about.
Yeah? Couldn't we? Does that make sense? And so the procedure might be, beat them up for 2 weeks. No, it's not like that. Obviously, that would be a loving procedure, right? So you have a loving procedure that you would create that would help them address the emotions. So this is where, again, you could start using some of these tools in the different healing modalities. For example, you then maybe have a psychologist who then could help them go through the place emotionally of what is the cause. In other words, help them to connect to what happened to them when they were 3 years old and connect to what their mum said with them. But you know what most psychologists do today? They don't do that. They don't do that. They deal with the effect. And also they're afraid of different emotions because many psychologists have the same fear of their own emotion as they do for their clients. So they're afraid of the emotion of grief, and so they try to stop the person grieving and so forth. But if we had a different focus in the healing procedure, if we had a different way of learning about the entire procedure from a medical perspective, what we would finish up doing is we would, instead of addressing the effect all the time, we will go to the cause and we will create procedures that address the cause rather than the effect. So we would actually physically create a procedure that enables this person to go through the emotion that causes them to have a feeling of unworthiness with women that began when they were 3 years old. And we'd actually create an entire thing. And in fact, we could speak to our spirit friends if we were connected with them, say, what do you recommend, and write down the procedure for the person. And there's your procedure. This is what we need to go through if we want to permanently heal this problem. So now you're a chiropractor, but you're also going to need a few other skills, right? And that will enable you can address the effect, because it's great if you can still relieve the effect.
That's what I wanted to ask, is my working with their physical body inhibiting, or is it still supporting them while they're connecting with the original cause? Well,
it depends on their motive, doesn't it? If their motive is to come along to you only to receive the alleviation of the physical effect, and they have no intention whatsoever of addressing the cause, then you adjusting them is actually helping them to avoid the issue.
And that's when my fear comes up, when I feel that from them and I don't have the courage to say, actually, no, I can't adjust you today.
Yeah, so you're allowed to do that because you have free will. See, they come along to you saying, I'm going to pay you out the money to come to my chiropractor and you're going to do this. And imagine the chiropractor saying, I'm sorry, but I don't want to help you today because... because there's this cause that I see in you that you don't want to address. I'd love you to address it. I know what to do to help you address it, but I can't help you keep coming back to me. See, basically what you're doing is coming back to me, spending $40, $50 a time. If you add it up over years, like 10 years, it's quite significant funds that we're all using, because there's also the government involved now with those funds because of the medical system and so forth, and there's all the taxation of a lot of other people. We're now getting the taxation of other people supporting their desire to deal with the effect only. And so under those circumstances, personally, I would refuse to treat them. Does that make sense? But you would want to address the effect while they are willing to address the cause, certainly. And so what I would do is help them address the effect initially. If the effect was life-threatening, I'd always assist that. But I would always be addressing, why is this happening to you? Why is this happening to you? Unfortunately, in today's world, we all, when it comes to medical problems in particular, we all want to believe that it's something else other than our own creation. And it is a major problem on the planet that we have wanting to believe that. But can you see, we could easily discover those things. Then on top of that, we could help the person go through their life, what they are attracting into their life, and help them understand the relationship between what's inside of their soul and what they're attracting in their life and the cause of particular ailments and therefore the effect. Right? So we can go sort of like reverse engineering the underlying effect. So we're starting at the end where we've got the effect. So the effect might be, I can't sleep. Just a simple effect. You know, I can't sleep at night. I feel like whatever I do, I just can't sleep. So that's the effect. We go backwards. We can go backwards through tracing the cause using all sorts of different procedures, right? But if we have a fear as the person who's the healer, and we have a fear of getting the person to go from there to there, then you can just see how our fear now is in play, and we need to get rid of our fears really when it comes to healing. We need to stop pandering to people's wanting to address the effect.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can think of instances now where I have addressed the potential emotional issue with people, but with people that haven't challenged my emotions.
That
and
haven't
the ones
challenged
that
your
do,
fear.
the ones that would probably get the most out of it, I haven't because I've been terrified.
Exactly. You're terrified of them and how they're going to respond.
Absolutely. Yeah. And their response, they're not going to like me. They're not going to love me anymore.
So this is where we've got to give up any sense of personal investment in their health. And unfortunately, many healers do have a personal investment in the other person's health. And we give up all of that. Then we're willing to state the truth, state what the emotion is, state the cause without any, without pulling the punches, as the saying goes, Can I point out, though, theoretically, what do we do with headaches at the moment? Take a Panadol, okay? That's called a headache tablet, basically. Shall we put it in that bracket, shall we? A headache tablet. Right. So if we've got a headache, what we do is we create a tablet which deals with the effect. So we've got pound, 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 take the tablet, pounding stops. Right? Now, later what we might do is we work out what the cause of the headache is, and in almost all cases, particularly if it's a front lobal headache, it's the suppression, is it 2 P's? Suppression of grief, right? And wouldn't it be great if we could get a tablet that actually triggers grief? Can you see? And then it would permanently resolve our headache, because once that grief is released, it'll never reoccur.
Don't know that many pharmaceutical companies are going to get onto that one.
But it is potentially possible. You see, there are parts of our body that open up to grief when they're triggered. And if we could create those points in our body or do something that actually impacts upon those points in our body, there is the potential to create a tablet that actually does trigger our grief, rather than relieving our headache. Mind you, it's probably just as easy to cry. But the potential is there, right? Yeah.